Hi, everybody. Ooh, okay, we'll have to get this right. Okay, we good? Okay, hi, everyone. Eitan Goldberg and Peter Boynton from the Planning Board, and we're here today to have a open forum as to accessory dwelling units. What we're going to do is we're going to give a short presentation. Presentation is going to be recorded and can be viewed later on at your leisure. It'll be posted on the website, posted on North Andover Cam. After the presentation, we're going to have, if people are interested, they can ask questions, make comments, things like that. That part won't be recorded, just for the people here. So that's what we're going to do. So I'll pass it over to Peter, and we'll get started.
Thanks. So accessory dwelling units, or ADUs, it's an additional housing unit on the same lot. It can be within the structure or attached to or detached as an accessory structure.
Okay, so here's the definition, which is pending as part of the Affordable Homes Act. So the Affordable Homes Act is a bill that was before the legislature. It's been, I think, basically incorporated and passed, and now is headed to the governor for her approval. Accessory dwelling unit, the idea is that it is pretty much what it says. It is a dwelling unit, so it is a place where someone can live, and it is accessory, meaning it is not the main part of your property. So it is something that is in addition to your normal residence. So the definition that is provided in the act, which is very likely to become law, says that it's a self-contained housing unit, so it's got to have sleeping, cooking, toilets on the same lot as a principal dwelling. So you have your main dwelling, whether it be a single family or other type of dwelling, and you have this additional unit. It is applicable, it has normal dimensional and parking requirements, so it has to meet zoning, but it also has to maintain a separate entrance. According to this law, that entrance can be either directly from the outside or through a shared entrance with the main building. It cannot be larger than half the gross floor area of the principal dwelling or 900 square feet, whichever is smaller. So maximum 900 square feet, but if you have a smaller original principal dwelling, then the ADU is going to be smaller than the 900 square feet. It's got to be subject to additional restrictions as may be imposed by municipality. So we can have some say as to additional restrictions. However, those are going to be, according to this law, limited and cannot unreasonably restrict the creation of accessory dwelling units. One of the main things that the state will be allowing restrictions on is short-term rentals. These accessory dwelling units being used as short-term rentals. That is not the goal of the legislation.
So this is part of the Affordable Homes Act, state act. And in the fall of 2023, Governor Healy released a housing bond bill for affordability and housing supply. And that bill includes a provision to mandate communities to allow ADUs.
So as most bills happen through the state legislature, sometimes there are differences between what the House of Representatives passes and what the Senate passes. That was true in this case, so the versions were not, significantly different. The kind of differences have been worked out in committees, and they have signed off on the Affordable Homes Act and presented it to the governor. That's now being reviewed, subject to veto and then possible amendments. So likely to become law within the very near future.
So just to summarize again, what type of rules would likely come from the state as a result of this act? Separate entrance from the primary dwelling, 900 square feet or half the gross floor area of the principal dwelling, and no bylaw, no town bylaw shall prohibit, restrict, or require a special permit for the use of land or structures for a single ADU or the rental For more than one ADU, a special permit would be needed. And the State Executive Office of Housing may issue guidelines or regulations to administer this.
So some restrictions that you often see or have seen in other bylaws regarding ADUs, sometimes there are restrictions as to owner occupancy that is not allowed under this bylaw, under this state regulation. And ADU may be subject to some regulations, and we'll have to kind of get guidance on that from the state, but things like Title V, things like site plan review, not that these will automatically be in a bylaw that that gets created, but these are some things that could be. There will be one parking space required per ADU, but then some exceptions regarding public transit as well. So, you know, a lot of it we're going to have to wait for guidance from the state about how exactly we can structure our own bylaw once this is passed.
So the whole idea of ADUs is not entirely new here in North Andover. We do have current zoning that allows for a type of ADU called a family suite. Now, the rules the town currently has under current zoning are more restrictive than what we think may come out of the state. For example, no more than 25% of the gross floor area. And one item that's very different is restricting who can use the family suite. Under the current town rules, only brothers, sisters, maternal parents, grandparents, in-laws, children can use the current version of an ADU called a family suite here in North Andover.
So the zoning we have now, the family suites, it's required to be a separate dwelling unit within or attached to a dwelling for a member of a household. It's by special permit. That special permit currently goes through the Zoning Board of Appeals. The accessory dwelling unit family suite is not occupied by anyone except for these familiar relationships. It's inspected annually by the building inspector, and the permit is recorded at the Registry of Deeds, meaning that if that familial resident leaves, technically they're not supposed to be able to use that family suite anymore.
This is just a quick overview of the typical state budget timeline. September to December, budget creation, January to March. Proposed budget is presented. April to June, goes to the full House of Representatives, then to the Senate. And the House and Senate vote, and then the proposed budget is sent to the governor for signature. July to August, after the governor receives the enacted budget, 10 working days to sign it into law.
So that's kind of where things stand at the moment. I think we're under the impression that the law will probably be passed as is, though we'll have to wait and see. Some things we're waiting on to see is there a timeline for when we have to enact a new bylaw? Is there a timeline for when this goes into effect? Will there be any changes? Those are some things that we're kind of waiting on. Will any regulations come out, and will we be able to wait until we see the regulations to make new laws of our own? Those are some things that we're going to be kind of waiting on to see. So I think that's all we have for the presentation.
Thanks for joining.